400%? WoW's numbers 2023. Look at that face. Is that a face of somebody who's happy about the numbers? I don't think it is.
Welcome back, everyone. Okay, so World of Warcraft's player base fell to pieces throughout Shadowlands, which felt pretty bad. Athria's strong start just whittled away, and by the end, rating statistics were actually at the lowest point in our dataset, which is since Nighthold.
That's bad.
Yeah. Now, in every aspect then, Dragonflight...
Do you guys remember how cool he was? You guys remember him? Like, he was so cool. Man, he was awesome. He was the best, man. Yeah.
Dragonflight's job is to stop the bleeding, to solidify the foundations, and to help WoW grow again.
By the way, I actually think that Vault of the Incarnates is as good as Nighthold. I can't really say it's better or worse, but I think it's as good as Nighthold. I really like Vault of the Incarnates. I'm extremely happy with the raid. Contextually, I have not done Mythic yet, though.
So, now that we've got the month 1 numbers, let's see how Vault of the Incarnates has performed, and also our sponsor, squarespace.com/Bellular
At least
Gaming.
it's not Keeps again.
A while back, I was adding a media section to our studio's website for The Pale Beyond. It was dead easy and super fast. A bunch of people have been clamoring for more of our game's music, and using Squarespace's simple tools were just that. They were simple. So I headed to the media page that I made last time, I created an audio block, dropped the music in, and voila, all was there. And with a flip of a switch, it was live. Hell, you can check out those tracks right now if you want. They do so much more, of course. Memberships, email lists, e-commerce, and lots of other fantastic features. I mean, last time I tested out their e-commerce, and it was just so easy to use. They can even hook into the fulfillment center we use, which automates a whole...
I'm so fucking jealous of people that make websites nowadays. I remember being 11 years old and trying to teach myself HTML and, like, JavaScript. Fuck, man. I wish I had this.
A bunch of stuff. Crazy. So you can get started quick and easy today with Squarespace's award-winning templates and build 14, your web
15,
presence at squarespace.com.
Yeah, I wonder how many girls actually became software or like website developers or like software developers, and the gateway drug into being like a software or like a website developer was actually customizing their MySpace page in 2006.
/Bellular Gaming, code Bellular Gaming.
Yeah, I had
for
Dreamweaver.
10% off.
It wasn't very good. I didn't like it.
Before that, if you follow my link with a free trial, you can build your site and see how it works for you, and it'll be great. So, thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring, and let's go. All right, number 1, data disclaimer. What data are we using? Really simple. It's Warcraft logs.
Okay.
Now, it's not perfect, but it is just about the best that we have. We're focusing on guild parsers, so guild kills, essentially. And that's really good because I think guilds are the stickiest part of World of Warcraft. They really are the bleeding, or... No,
they should have moved up and put the elemental here, so that way they could AoE him down. It was bad. It could have done it better there.
The bleeding, the beating heart of the game. And we've been using the same methodology since the start of Shadowlands. So no matter what, with the same methodology, we should be producing comparable numbers.
Yeah.
Also, while Vault is close to, of course, the holidays, well, Castle Nathria was essentially exactly the...
Castle Nathria was the exact
same timing.
Yes.
And that does allow for a apples-to-apples comparison between Shadowlands and Dragonflight's first raid tiers. Okay, let's begin. Normal, Heroic, and Mythic all, I think, hit slightly different types of players. We're going to look at all of them.
Okay.
And here you can see Normal mode first and last boss kills within the first 4 weeks. Now, doing first and last boss is really important. First indicates that people actually...
I think it's super important. The fact that people are actually finishing a raid, to me, is such a big deal.
You know, start the raid and have interest, and last, of course, indicates that they have finished the raid.
Yeah.
So if first boss kills were massive, but last boss kills were really, really tiny, then that would indicate that loads of people...
The raid wasn't tuned well.
...start, but don't stick around to the finish, which would be bad. And here is our first bit of good news. you can see 19,363 first boss kills, representing an over 55% increase from Sepulchre of the First Ones. So that's good to see, more people coming in. And we then see a huge
I don't know why I keep having, like, are other streamers having these, like, mini Fs happen? Do other streamers have this happen? Some do. Like, I don't know what the fuck, man. Because, like, it's hard for me because, like, some people say yes or people say no. And I'm like, is it because this account isn't partnered? Is, like, Twitch, like, lowering my prio for bandwidth because they're mad that I'm streaming on an unpartnered account? Is it my computer? Is it my internet? Is it my OBS? Like, it's very hard for me to know because I can't isolate a variable. Something with Twitch for sure. I see it all the time. Okay, well, I'm glad it's not me. Here we go. Let's continue. Sorry. I'll go back 5 seconds.
ones. So that's good to see, more people coming in. And we then...
I still think that, like, if you contextualize this, look at the growth here. 7.3, this is the last patch of Legion. Yeah, sorry. It was the last patch of Legion, and this was Old Year. This was the last patch of BFA. This was Castle Nathria. This was the last patch of Shadowlands. This was Vault. So Vault is numerically 10,000 less players. That is fucking ridiculous. 10,000 less people. And again, 10,000, you contextualize this, 10,000 less guilds. 10,000 is like a third. A little bit less than a third. Brutal.
Then see a huge 254% increase in last boss kills. Now, we all remember how dire the Sepulchre of the First One completion rates were, and how it ended up becoming the most nerfed raid in the game's entire history.
Yeah.
So, seeing that not repeat is certainly good. Now, these completion rates also do just represent some lower difficulty, but also, they represent more people achieving their goal within the game. Even if those people...
I don't like how that's structured, and I don't think he probably meant to say that, but lower difficulty for the raids is not a bad thing, okay? I don't want to hear anybody complaining about how the raids are too easy unless they've killed Mythic Razageth. Don't fucking talk to me about how the raid is too easy.
Quit. They will have quit finishing the raid tier on a high, rather than quitting halfway through a raid tier. So, Vault of the Incarnate 60% is much better than Sepulchre's 26% completion rate within the first 4 weeks. Funny enough, though, 60% is also around the same that Sanctum of Domination had in the same time frame. And that's not all that...
I'm very surprised at that. I think Sanctum of Domination, Sylvanas was a terrible last boss. I think Razageth is a fun last boss. Sylvanas, I hated that fight.
It's similar. First and last boss kill numbers are highly similar to Sanctum. Much better than Sepulchre of the First Ones, but sadly, yeah, still a tremendous drop from...
Bro, like 37 to 19? That's almost half. Jesus, man, that is so bad. Oh, God. Raz is such a good last boss. I feel bad for the World First guys that they had that problem with the tuning, because other than that, I felt like Vault was so well done.
Castle Nathria, a raid that, like Vault, dropped through Christmas and was the expansion's first. Vault of the Incarnates is, you're looking at in and around half of Nathria for both the first and the last boss kills. Guild.
I think also, like, look at the fact that, and this is also kind of also, I guess you'd say, sad. There's the valley is higher each time, or sorry, is lower each time. So, like, it went all the way down to, like, 20,000, and this went all the way down to, like, almost 10, and this is even lower than that. So it's like the lows get lower and the highs get lower. Sucks, dude.
kills, of course, on normal mode. And honestly, that does sting. I think Nathria was a really strong raid, and I also think Vault is a very, very strong raid indeed.
I actually think that Castle Nathria was very badly tuned on release for at least normal mode, which is what most people are going to do. It was really hard. I think Uldir was much better tuned, but Castle Nathria had a compelling end boss. The setting was much more interesting. And the idea, the premise of Shadowlands was really cool.
But the numbers are what they are.
Yep.
I'm certainly also reminded then of the numerous post-launch promotions that Blizzard have ran, you know, like the trial, like giving away 30 days of game time with Dragonflight, and how Blizzard did not boast any sales figures for Dragonflight, whereas they did for Shadowlands. Indicating, I think, that, while this is, in my opinion, a fantastic expansion, well, it's going to take a long time to undo the damage.
And you're going to have to, like, I think there are going to be people that probably, even if Dragonflight has pretty much all W's, like, there's no way that everything in Dragonflight is going to be good. There's going to be bad stuff in Dragonflight 100%, because that's just, you know, I'm just being realistic. However, even whenever the next expansion after Dragonflight comes out, you know, Wrath of the Void Lords comes out, and you're still going to have people that still don't trust Blizzard. They still won't. And that sucks. And the truth is, like, Blizzard earned that. That's their fault. But it still sucks.
Going back to the Legion and Battle for Azeroth expansions, one difference is clear. Legion raiding appears to have grown throughout that expansion, while for BFA and Shadowlands, raiding kind of diminished over time. WoW has become massively reliant on very large spikes around launch that then get slashed to pieces as the patches roll on. So compared to Legion, the very controversial BFA and especially Shadowlands have had longer patch cycles with less overall content. And I think that overall means then that if Dragonflight Season 2 and its raid, if they cannot break the cycle by either increasing their numbers over Season 1 or at least holding them vaguely steady, then really that will be very rough for this expansion's momentum. But I think we can take heart in something, because Dragonflight has a more Legion-like patch cycle.
Well, I think that one of the things that you can take heart in is the fact that most of the people that are playing Dragonflight are not actively complaining about how bad it is every single day. I would rather have a slow-burning expansion that retains players that enjoy playing it than a massive super hype expansion with a bunch of new features. Oh my god, you could be a dragon! And then you play it and it's just some bullshit and everybody's talking about how bad it is. That's 1,000 times worse. There's this new system, and if you use the new system with the new fucking set, which is supposed to replace tier set, and then you have an artifact necklace you have to grind power for every week, and then there's new legendaries too. Okay, all right, let me step back for a second. So there's a new raid mode, and it's like, yeah, okay. Too much.
It really does, like in terms of the number of patches within the first year. So I think that'll help us out.
Yeah.
Okay, that's normal mode done.
What I
it's our most accessible form of organized raiding, and unlike with Shadowlands, of course, there are so many other game features like Torghast and all the borrowed power that we don't even have to talk about, because raiding is as simple as getting a character, getting it gear, and doing the raid. So, let's look at Heroic.
I think also, I think Heroic and normal mode get hurt the most by Mythic Plus. Because why would you ever invest your time into doing a Heroic raid, even unless it's a very smooth raid, if you can do Mythic Plus and get the same exact gear? Like, it really, I mean, raid set? Ooh. Set items got... early in you want to do the raid for tier gear. You're gonna have the catalyst, guys. Like, And not only are you going to have the catalyst, but you're going to have a higher base eye level for the catalyst. So your 415 mythic piece of gear is better than anything that you can get from heroic, and it's a tier piece. The only argument I can see that makes raiding better is the unique rare drop items like the fire proc items and like a couple of trinkets that are really cool. I like them.
Well, everyone, Heroic is actually very similar to normal. It is an increase from Sepulchre to Vault. That takes us back to Sanctum of Domination-like numbers. Not that we should feel too happy about that, because even at the
You've got to keep in mind, Sanctum of Domination is whenever I quit the game to play Final Fantasy.
The numbers for Sanctum really did sting. Now, if we discount Sepulchre, the guild ahead of the curve rate for Vault is actually pretty on par with Shadowlands, coming in at in and around 12%. That's slap bang in the middle of the 11% to 13% range seen within this time frame for Castle Nathria and Sanctum of Domination. So that's good to see. Again, all first 4 weeks.
And again, look at this. Look at the previous numbers. 27% Nighthold. Tomb of Sargeras was notoriously the hardest raid, and people didn't like Tomb of Sargeras back in back in Legion, and it was still 21%. And Taurus, 36%. I'm sorry, but I think that's good. I really do. I think that's a good thing. A lot of people finish the raid. Sepulchre 4? No, the thing is, it was just... Sepulchre, the reason why nobody did it is because the rewards were just balanced badly.
However, if we journey back to BFA and Legion, this Vault figure is still... well, it's much lower, as you can see, than the guild clear rate that we saw back then, which was a combined average of 27%. So it's 12% versus 27%, indicating that within the first 4 weeks of a raid tier, significantly fewer heroic raiders are actually clearing the raid. Is that a bad thing? Well, basically...
Somebody brought up a really good point in chat. This video is slipping on the fact that Castle Nathria numbers were inflated by COVID. That's a really good point. Castle Nathria had a massive advantage of not only being the first raid in a hyped expansion, but also occurring during the global pandemic, right? That was like right whenever actual lockdowns were happening. You were legally not able to go and do certain things. Absolutely. That was a big reason why Castle Nathria was popular. Probably more important than anything else, including the quality of the raid itself.
And the personal experience of myself, Matt, and Dakor, who is our resident cutting-edge mythic raider, we are finding that heroic end bosses over the past few expansions are quite tricky, and it seems like Blizzard wants to continue the trend of having them feel a bit like an early mythic boss within the first month of gearing. Now, Razagath, as with other recent end bosses within the first month...
It's not that fucking hard. I don't want to hear about how hard Razagath is. No, it's not. Learn to fucking play. Learn to play. Don't get hit by the mechanics. Use a personal cooldown and interrupt the ads. You're going to be fucking fine.
Does require the type of organization and coordination from a team that is similar to early Mythic.
True. That is true.
And it actually, this is where the data comes in, has the kill count to match, with 1,703 guilds getting a kill. Around 1,000 more guilds managed to kill Mythic Primal Council within the same time frame. That's not Aranog, the first boss. That's Primal Council.
That's the second one.
So, interesting. Is it good? Is it bad? Should we expect a good...
I think Razagath is too hard. I find it to be very... I don't think it's a good experience for players to start a raid and then hit a boss, especially on heroic mode. This is heroic. Ask yourself the questions. What are the question marks? You just said it's... Oh, right. Okay, so... I'm sorry. I have a lot of people in chat that are constantly trying to hang on every word that I say to try to find some sort of like, oh, he said one thing, but then he said something else. Personally, I don't think Razagath is very fucking hard. I think that people that have trouble with it are fucking garbage. That's what I think. But the numbers show that's not fucking true. That's the truth. And also, for however easy I think Razageth is, Broodward Diurnia is 1,000 times easier. Can we agree on that? That the difficulty jump from that boss to Razageth is massive. And then anything else before that is even a much bigger jump. Minus maybe Dathia. But other than that, it's still a massive jump. So it's not that I think it's extremely fucking easy. I don't see why people can't figure it out. But they can't. And I think that you can always tell the player you're wrong, you need to get better, etc. But whenever people quit the raid and they stop playing, who's winning? Nobody. Because Razageth drops 411 gear. In my opinion, I think it's easier to do a plus 20. Actually, you don't even need to do a plus 20. I think you need to only do like a plus 19 or something like that, or plus 18 to upgrade your gear above Razageth level. So why would anybody invest any time in waiting for 10 plus people, 16 plus, there you go, invest all of that time just to do Razageth on Heroic to get inferior gear to Mythic Plus? There's no reason to. No normal player can do a plus 20. No normal player can do Razageth Heroic. What the fuck do you mean? Item level isn't the factor? Yes. It does matter. Isn't that your point? To have multiple parts of gearing to appeal to different playstyles? It is. But the problem is that whenever one way of gearing is so unequivocally better than all other ways of gearing, it completely eclipses it, and nobody does the other way. That's not good. So you do want to have different methods to farm gear. Absolutely. That is a good thing. But whenever one method is balanced in a way that it is so strong that no person in their right mind would choose not to go with this method because it's just simply the path of least resistance, you're going to have everybody doing that method. And that is not the player's fault. The devs are God. They make the system. The reason the people are playing it this way is because you programmed it that way. Item level is not everything. Yes, it is. Apply to a group with a low item level and then tell them that, no, it's okay. I have a high, I do good damage because I have better itemized gear from it. Shut the fuck up. That's not how it works.
Heroic guilds to have to overcome a
That's
mythic level encounter? Fewer will succeed, but maybe Blizzard is counting on that feeling like a fairly smooth transition up to mythic difficulty for those groups. If that is
if that is true, if you can kill heroic Razageth, you can do mythic.
Project, though, I would caution them by saying that for many people, if you have, say, a group of, like us, maybe 10, 11, 12, 13 people that just like to play together, and you're not really interested in expanding your team to the, full 20 plus spare change, well, for a lot of us, Mythic is just literally not an option because we're playing with our mates, and that's the way that we play the game. Whereas in the past...
And that's just the truth, is that a lot of people compare rating sizes. New World's hardest content is really dungeon, so it doesn't really count, but it's 5-man. Lost Ark, hardest content, 8. Final Fantasy, hardest content, 8. WoW, hardest content, 20. That's more than twice as much.
Having what was called 10-man Heroic, which today we would call 10-man Mythic if it existed, that would be a good option for many. I don't know. What do you think?
I feel like one thing that would be nice is if they made Razageth 415. I would be happy if Razageth was 415 rather than 411. Because that's the same as a Mythic fight.
Do let me know down below.
I don't think that would hurt
if
the
Blizzard
game.
announced Mythic 10, I, for one, would be pretty hype. But I can understand the design problems there. Comparing to past expansions, then, there is a continued downward trend in the end of expansion lows and the start of expansion highs for heroic guild participation within the first 28 days of the tier. But that being said, if we were to ignore the start of expansion outlier peaks seen for Uldir and Castle Nathria, then the 4-week figure for first boss kills in Vault of the Incarnates is looking well, quite healthy when compared to all previous tiers since Legion. It may be ever so slightly lower than them, but it's still within a good range. The last boss kills figure, however...
This is very depressing. I can't get past this. The fact that both of these points here were the first tier of the last expansions, and this is what Dragonflight is. It's an entire, like, line difference. It sucks, bro.
Has continued to drop tier on tier since Antorus, with one outlier being N'Zoth and BFA. So, while Vault was indeed an increase over Sepulchre, Sepulchre is a very special case because of how off its initial tuning was.
Yeah.
If we discount Sepulchre, then Vault's
last
last boss kill figure is still following that downward trend that we've seen since Antorus, which is not good. It seems as if, though, Blizzard are content enough to really have the end heroic boss feel like an early mythic and have the, within the first 4 weeks, low kill count to match. All right, let's go
I don't think that's really... I don't think that's made the game better. Making heroic harder and making the end bosses harder. Like, as somebody who's played every tier, my game experience has not improved because of that.
Mythic, then. Mythic does not follow the same trend. Oh, thank God, it was going to be such a boring video.
Yeah.
Yes, so first boss kills, this is good news. They're back to Castle Nathria levels, increasing 126% over Sepulchre. And this is great news. Then last boss...
Shriekwing was way fucking harder than Terragru on Mythic. And Aranog, I haven't done Aranog on Mythic, but I heard it's a joke.
Kills have increased by 400% back to Nathria levels. But it is only 14 kills. That's a small number, and, that does mean that it's maybe not as statistically significant as the other numbers that we've had, which have been far larger. Now, obviously, Sepulchre was a special case in just how dismal the number...
I would say Sepulchre... Like, if you never use Sepulchre as a measurement, except for, like, a meme ever again, I would be totally fine with that. Because it was just so astronomically different and bad that it'll probably never happen again. What is this UI? It's the least cluttered Raider UI.
Of guilds that cleared that within 4 weeks were, so that second number would always be super high. It's just all that would have to happen is a vaguely reasonably tuned boss versus how things were with J-Lore. But still, if first boss kills are a good indication of broad interest in engaging in the hardest form of raiding in World of Warcraft, then I think we can actually be happy here. Now, expanding this out to a few expansions, we do see that it's a good start, but by no means is it a return to form, so we still need the game to deliver the goods over time. Okay, let's talk about some other things then. We did love putting Mythic Plus numbers in for you, but honestly, all of our data sources are scuffed, right? And that does make it impossible to do a comparison that we would be content to present to you.
That's unfortunate. I would love to see what Mythic Plus participation is here in Dragonflight.
The PvP numbers then, well, they are low enough. I mean, much like how Vault ended up being half of Nathria, but by the time the numbers settled, they are indeed lower for PvP. I mean, 3v3 is barely breaking the 25k daily in EU, I think, either EU or US, daily games a month into the season, while in...
I really wish we had an ability to track solo shuffle. Because I keep seeing people queuing solo shuffle all the time, yeah. I thought solo queue would revive it. Well, the thing is, solo queue isn't on here. It's 3v3, 2v2, and RBG.
Shadowlands, that same number was like 50%. I'm not too up to date in things. I know that Shadowlands at the start had an extremely high lethality meta that did lead to games being pretty darn quick in my own personal experience.
I will say Shadowlands PvP on release was some of the best PvP. I thought that it was better than anything that we got. I thought Dread Gladiator season, that was the first season in BFA. I thought Dread Gladiator was really good too, but I didn't like any season in Legion. I'm going to be honest. I really just didn't like any of them. And I thought Shadowlands PvP at the very beginning was great. And I think also Shadowlands PvP as a whole was better than BFA PvP. I haven't done enough Dragonflight PvP to have an informed opinion about it yet. Especially now that people have full gear.
I mean, I wouldn't count for much, but it is what everyone was saying. So you do look at this and you think, all right, well, yeah, there are fewer games, but there was a higher level of lethality, or a very high anyway level of lethality in the meta back then. So
yeah.
Look, if you're a PvP player, I would love to see what your subjective experience has been like as it relates to those numbers. So I suppose our numbers are basically closer to Season 3. But that being said, we have Solo Shuffle now rated. And it does seem to be quite a popular game mode. Maybe even in spite of those rough DPS queues. Now, if you combine that with PvP gearing that I think is significantly better, then maybe we do see things are actually going really in a good direction. So with PvP, it's hard to say, and I'd love to hear from you. Next then, Google Trends.
Oh boy.
Now,
oh boy, taking a page out of old Baldy's book. Yep, here we go.
Google Trends is not the most precise science in the universe. Look, it does do a pretty good job of showing what it reports to show. Interest over time.
I think Google will take over the world.
This 12-month graph covers what would usually be the end of expansion drought. Instead, actually, I think when you look at that interest over time, you see that Season 4 did a pretty good job of actually keeping the game a bit more alive for longer.
Season 4 was absolutely a great idea that Blizzard had. I hope Blizzard always does Season 4s from now on. Also, keep in mind that unless he is tracking, and if he is tracking World of Warcraft as the bucket for all different search terms surrounding that is curated by Google specifically in order to aggregate trends into similar searches and things similar to that, this also will probably include Wrath of the Lich King, which came out at the end of Shadowlands.
Now, Dragonflight launch does have a spike. It ain't massive, and that's why I think we should view it in context. And, oh boy, yeah, Dragonflight looks pretty small compared to BFA and Classic, which are our first two peaks in that graph. But here's what's fascinating. Dragonflight and Shadowlands both peak at 63. Of course, Google will crunch that all into just like a sort of normalized number. So it's kind of interesting. You know, we're not half of Classic launch, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
I would say, though, that if we are matching general interest to Shadowlands, I mean, honestly, in some ways that does confuse me because it seems that we're having lower numbers than Shadowlands right now. And maybe that just
represents... Why I didn't care about those peaks? So the reason why people care about the numbers is that the numbers indicate whether the game is going to be growing or not. And the reason why it matters whether the game is growing or not is that if the game is not growing and there are less people playing the game over time, people would Blizzard will allocate less resources into WoW. And that's why people care. It's just that simple. I think another big factor here is that at this point, a lot of other people play other MMOs. I think that what happened in Shadowlands is not as much people quit WoW, but it's also that people moved over and played other MMOs alongside WoW. Whether that was Final Fantasy, Guild Wars 2, OSRS, New World, or Lost Ark. I think there's a lot of people, there are just way more competitors that are legitimate in the MMO space now than there were in BFA.
Fewer people feeling like they can commit to the game, but they're still keen to follow it because maybe they've heard people like me or Preach maybe talk about finding aspects of the game more enjoyable, but they haven't pulled the trigger yet. Maybe it's something like that. I suppose the question then is, how far will Dragonflight fall?
I think a lot of people that aren't playing the game are thinking that, oh, I remember last time the game was good, then it was bad after that.
And that's actually where I think Dragonflight could be strong. So there's two expansions I want to think about. One of them is MoP. Back in MoP, Blizzard were still actually giving us subscriber figures. Yes. And after the big loss, it actually stabilized and then went up for a bit off the back of just a really, really strong slate of content. Now, then if you look at our rating data from Legion, of course, you see some of those numbers go up. Now, 10.0.5 launches like 57 days after 10.0. 9.0.5, a patch that has significantly less than 10.05, launched like over 100 days after 9.0, which was rough. So I do think the patch cadence will keep this expansion in the public consciousness more.
Yeah.
Now, turns out you can actually look at YouTube interest using Google Trends. Of course, Google owns YouTube. Yeah, well, that explains why we've been getting lower than normal views, doesn't it?
I told y'all this shit was happening. Look at this. Give me 1 second. Well, I'm going to just go to my YouTube channel. Take a look at this shit. And so, if you go back over some of these WoW videos that I've made, like Ulduar, this is 129K views. This is one of the lowest videos I've had. And it came out over a day ago. Let's look at the next WoW video. Is WoW still the king? So this is like a meta WoW video. Top 5 secrets of Ulduar. Only 115K views. Dead game. Let's see the next one. Where's the next WoW video? Is it time for random dungeon finder? Let's look at the next one. 285, 555, 555, 311, 140, 191, 315, 817, 428, 332. The only WoW videos that I have that still perform well are videos about how the game's not performing well. Fuck, man. And also, let me show you guys. This is... No, that's not a very... is it or not? Okay, let's just do this, all right? Asmongold, first. Okay. Asmongold, Sepulchre of the first ones. WoW's new raid went so badly, Asmongold just quit. This came out 10 months ago, 1 million views. Okay? Big numbers. The Jailer cinematic, 700,000 views. This is me doing Vault of the Incarnates. In my opinion, this stream was trash. Literal garbage stream. This stream that I did was actually really good. It was like a 14-hour rating stream. Only 366,000 views. A quarter. Or sorry, a third. Doesn't that suck? 1 month versus 10 months? Bro, YouTube videos flatline. Like, they flatline after 2 weeks unless there's, like, some weird algorithm thing. Yeah, like, it's just... You fall off... Oh, it's my... Well, no. The thing is, like, it would be very easy to say, oh, you just fell off, right? But look at all of the other videos that are doing really well. Let's look at Sanctum of Domination. Asmongold versus Sanctum of Domination, 674K. This was, by the way, at the exact same time nobody wanted to watch WoW content because of Final Fantasy. Castle Nathria, okay? Overtuned. Asmongold clears Castle Nathria. 593, 646. God, this was such a shit raid. These are all obviously anecdotal, but what I'm saying is that my own YouTube is just you becoming more popular and the growth with non-WoW players with those videos. Here's what I think it is. I think it is as simple as this. Not as many people are consuming WoW content anymore. Period.
I mean, there are still some videos that can break out, go a bit viral, and get really good views, but definitely you have to be more careful if you want high average views on YouTube these days. That's my experience of it.
Well, I mean, like, look, I mean, how can Belura be complaining about this? How many videos did he make about Jake Paul? 0. Okay, well then what the fuck, Belura? Come on. Like, what about, let's see, Andrew Tate. I haven't seen a single video about Andrew Tate from Belluor. He's not even trying. Come on.
And this is really something I've known for ages.
Yeah, he's not
General
combat ready.
interest in WoW is just down a bit. And you got to
It is.
remember that line from Yoshi P about the kind of silent people are really the first people to leave, and you won't know about it. And I
Yeah.
think while maybe you and I have been breaking our brains against the game for like 4 years, a lot of people just left quietly.
That's
You know?
literally what my mom did. She quit the game. She was like, I'm not going to farm flying again. I'm done. That was it. I farmed it in Wide. I farmed it in Legion. Nah, bro. Like, this is the third time I did this.
No?
And she not
That being
tweeting
said,
about
the
it,
recent
you know?
trend on YouTube is up, and
She
that is
wasn't.
good. So, really, my broad takeaway is
Other friends, similar
everything here
experience.
is representative of World of Warcraft sucking in a bunch of ways for
Yeah.
ages. And now it no longer is that. I do think that
Quiet quitting.
Dragonflight is genuinely
Quiet
a
quitting World of
fantastic
Warcraft, yeah.
expansion for the game. But I think it's just going to take time.
Yeah, of
Because
course.
Dragonflight, you know, it's designed to be something that will be fulfilling after Shadowlands. You know, it's the antithesis to Shadowlands in so many ways, especially tonally. But is it a big orc screaming freedom? No.
But it
And I
should be. Again, World of Warcraft lives and dies on how many big, hairy men with massive muscles that are sweaty are on the screen. If there's not any of those, then the game's not really doing that well. But it's like, think about Denathrius, not really that hairy, but he's a big, muscly dude, and he's on the screen and he doesn't wear a shirt. Game, massive, high. Everything is great. Things are going amazing, right? Sylvanas comes out, what the fuck? What is this? Then go back to, what was the one before that? I don't even fucking remember. The last time, Illidan. Look at Illidan. Fucking record numbers. People just going crazy. Everybody's playing Legion. Think about it. Jailer, he wasn't hairy. He was bald. They fucked up.
I think that probably got less general audiences hyped. Okay, finally then, one of the things that will feed into all of this is the state of the end game. So, I just want to talk about the subjective things. So far, I love this tier. I actually think that 8 bosses is great. Yeah,
it is.
I prefer 8 really good bosses to 10. I don't know what that means, but it's not like I'm sitting here saying, oh,
Well, here's what it means. I don't want to sit through Nilotha again.
I've got less content and I'm happy, but I don't know.
do we
maybe
really
fewer
need
but
that
better
dog boss?
is actually better. I mean, that doesn't
really
seem too
need
surprising.
Drestagath?
Yeah, I don't know. These are 8
on.
awesome bosses. I mean, straight up, we have loved this raid. Then there's Razageth. And being real with you, like, I thought Anduin was an incredible fight. J-Lore, a bit less so. But, like, Anduin and Razageth,
Anduin's sound
both
design was S tier.
sublime fights. And Razageth, I've really enjoyed. I think she's just incredible. Even in normal mode, I had a blast. Now, part of that is it's my first time ever healing. So, just kind of like learning all of that's been really fun. But now we are 5 out of 8 heroic, and we do raid like pretty casually. We just kind of have fun. But like getting to 5 out of 10 heroic, actually feeling a nice sense of progression through those bosses,
5
it's
out of
been
8.
a super satisfying experience. So subjectively, my bunch are all super happy. Seriously, it is just hard to overstate how good raiding has felt.
Well,
So-
they ain't tell that guy to use a CD. What the hell is he doing? He's a prot warrior. He goes, but you a prot warrior. You go below 50% health. You did something wrong. What the hell are you doing? What the fuck do you think you're doing, losing health as a prot warrior?
Overall, then, World of Warcraft has struggled. It's lost a lot of people.
Yeah,
And even though
defensive
I've been
stance
loving Dragonflight, that's always because I was A, willing to give it a chance,
unacceptable.
and B, still had the state of WoW within my general sphere of interest. But for more casual fans of the game who just wandered off, maybe played PoE or Destiny, Well,
PoE,
it's
I hear the
not
season's really
a
good.
case of them deciding the new expansion is good, because they're not even thinking about World of
No.
Warcraft in the first place. And that means that Blizzard has got to engage them and earn their interest by, well, A, delivering excellent content over the next few years so that they
You know what
can...
they need to do? They need to add in a way that you can play Dragonflight for free for like a month. Like, everybody can play WoW for free for a month. Because a lot of people aren't going to spend money to come back to an expansion that could be dog shit. That's what I feel like that would be so good. Well, like a 2 week, yeah, maybe 2 weeks, but like just more than I would say 2 weeks absolute minimum. Make it free forever and make everything else free. Yeah, true. I like that idea too. Good idea, man.
have
Smart.
strong social proof from the player base, and then B, having an expansion concept that truly gets people extremely excited in the same way that Warlords of Draenor and Legion were able to do. Dragonflight isn't explosively exciting. It is a grower.
No, it's
but
not.
At least from my perspective, it seems like it's exactly what World of Warcraft needs at this stage. So, that's the numbers. That's my understanding. Let me know what you think about them. If you'd like to check out a truly awesome lore video, then check this one out. And also, be sure to support today's sponsor because it really does help us out. All right, have a good one.
Well, you heard it from Bellior. Dragonflight, it's a grower, not a shower, guys. That's all there is to it. Yep. I don't know what else to say. I think that pretty much settles it. There we fucking go. I want to watch this video. Let me link it for you guys. I love the graphs. We love the graphs. Graphs are great. We love graphs. WoW needs to die, and we need WoW too. I don't know. I mean, I would be happy about that. I do think that they would make more money in the long term if they allowed people who had accounts that were lapsed to come back and play Dragonflight for free for like a month or for 3 weeks. Because that would be enough to get to max level. Because you want to have it to where you are invested enough into the game to where you want to continue to sub. Because at this point, I think if somebody isn't going to come back for Dragonflight, there's a good chance that they won't. It doesn't matter what happens until like the next content patch or something like that. So like getting them to come back earlier and potentially retaining another month sub out of them or something, I can't see that being a negative. I think a big reason why Final Fantasy popped off so much is because of the free trial. You didn't have to make any... You didn't have to risk anything. And it might not make sense, right? Because like a lot of us are probably, you know, fucking 30s, late 20s, and we can afford $15, $50, right? Not today. I went over, I saw that eggs are like $7, man. For like a dozen eggs. What the fuck? What is this? Like, that's crazy. It's so fucked up. Chicken is expensive, man. Actually, no, it's not. Well, wait a minute. What does this say? I got McNuggets today at McDonald's, and the chicken wasn't any more expensive than it was last year. Does that mean that McDonald's doesn't use chicken? Yeah, I don't know what to say. Yeah, it's not real chicken. Well, it doesn't matter. I've been eating McNuggets my whole life. It ain't gonna stop. So, look, what I'm saying is like how much is like the expansion? It's like $50, right? Is it $50 for the expansion? So it's 60 for base. Like base expansion. It's like 50, 60. Right, so it's 65. I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't know if you get a month or not. That's a lot of money to invest into something that's disappointed you in the past. I think they have to make a more extensive free trial period. I really, really think so. I don't know why they don't do that. You should be able to level to 60 for free. Lost Ark does it. Final Fantasy does it. It works. Locked at level 20. It's not enough. Whatever happened to demos? Yeah, you need to have more of that. Anyway, Greedy devs. I think that I think they just don't see it the same way that I do. It's hard to say. I'm going to link it to you guys. Obviously, I stayed up a bit later today because we did Old War. I wanted to knock out a few of these videos, talk about this stuff because I've wanted to for a couple days now. I am going to be going to sleep here, and I've actually tomorrow. I've got a weird few days ahead of me. This whole rest of my month is going to be weird. Oh God, I'm looking forward to it being like February 5th, and like everything fucking annoying, I don't have to do it anymore, and I just wake up, I jerk off, and I go live. It's gonna be beautiful, but alas, we're still in January 20th, and so I've got a lot of stuff to do. Dark and Darker came out February 6th. Oh wow, yeah, I'll have to play that. When's the next Dark Souls dance pad run? Yeah. Stay awake, fix your schedule. I would, but there's something that I have to do, and I want to get at least a little bit of sleep for it, okay? But, yeah. You gonna try Hogwarts? Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll play it. Absolutely. This month sucks dick. It's fine. I mean, it's just different responsibilities, different stuff like that. Rip Kenshin? Okay. And it's better for them, though. Getting some people to pay $60 for the expansion, giving out a trial, and getting the sub money if people like the game. I don't know the answer. I feel like it's better to get the sub. Because getting the sub means that they can also get the microtransactions. Because, like, if you have $15, that $15 allows you to spend $100. But if you get $60, that's all you get. Going to soon, full revolution. Yeah, I know. I might do that. We'll see what happens. People are sick and tired of playing WoW. Game's gone too stale. Expansions are just newest skin for the same game. Yep, I think you're right. I would love to see a new version of WoW. I hope Blizzard is realizing that. I hope that the survival game that they're working on will be a soft version of that. I would love to see their survival game be a mixture of Dark and Darker and Valheim. I'm not sure what it's going to look like. We're going to have to find out. It'll be a mobile game? Oh, yeah. That'll be great.